Hello, we're here with Amy, and I wanted to interview Amy today so she could share her awakening story. Hello, Amy, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so grateful that you're willing to share your story with us. And I know a lot of people watching are gonna hopefully relate to your story because I know I can relate to it. A lot of what has transpired in your life it's similar to mine. Could you share
Right.
your story with us? How did you grow up? What's your background? Were you
I
religious?
grew up I grew up Christian, always in the church from the time I was in diapers till now. And
Wow.
I'll soon be 37.
Wow. So you an active member of the church or like most people they go every weekend, but
I was very active. Every time the church doors were open, I actually taught vacation Bible school. I taught middle school Sunday school class. I taught fourth and fifth grade class on Sunday evenings. I always had my child in church. I cleaned the church for 4 months in a row. Every weekend, I was always there. I just love the church life.
wow, you were really active. So you're not like one of those people that just spouts religion but never really goes or goes maybe on a Sunday every now and then or, a
I
part-time.
never missed a day.
Wow,
Yep.
that's amazing. And how did you wake up? What's your awakening story? What happened that caused you to wake up?
Um. Well, I got charged with some bogus charges. I'm accused of something that technically I didn't do, um, and was in jail for 8 months. For the first 65 days that I was in jail, I was isolated from other women. I was not allowed in a cell as far as general public. Um, and I started reading the Bible. My pastor was coming. Several of the elders from my church were coming to visit me. Um, and then I was having several like visions of angels being surrounding me. I read the Bible in a week's time from front to back, from Genesis to Revelations in a week's time. I just sat there with all of my thoughts and just collected all my thoughts and just thought, what am I going through? And I was seeing like these lights and these orbs, and I didn't know what they were. But I just felt like I had an angel or someone there with me. And then three, about after the 65th day, they put me in a cell with other women, and I got along with them great. I actually led a couple to the Lord. The jail that I was actually in, they do baptisms because the jailer here in my town, he's very active in his church. So he actually took men and women to his church, and they had baptisms there. So I led several girls to the Lord. I have several girls that wrote character witness letters, saying how I inspired them as a mother, as a Christian, as a friend. I met a lot of girls. I've never done drugs. I've never lived the lifestyle that majority of these women lived. So their lifestyle compared to mine kind of, I guess, inspired them to do better. I was in there with women from prostitutes to panhandlers to you name it, women in there for possession of marijuana, various things. I was in there with a girl that murdered someone, Grand Theft Auto. So, all these girls, thought that I was this inspiration, and we were going to church every Thursday in jail. Um, and all of these women, that were coming from the churches, they said, "Honey, you don't look like the the person that you have been accused of doing the crime that you committed." And I said, "No, I'm accused of doing exactly what my charges are." Um, but through prayer and whatnot, I stayed faithful. I prayed every day. Um, I prayed. My main prayer was my family has always been my number one. And I'm sorry if I get emotional. But my
Absolutely. It's
family,
understandable. Yeah, definitely.
so my family has always been my number one priority. Um, with that being said, I prayed every day. I always spent holidays with my family. I prayed every day to get out I went in April of 2016. I prayed to get out for Thanksgiving and Christmas to be with my daughter, whom lived at the time with her dad. He has full custody of her. Um, I I came to live with a family member afterwards, but I prayed every day. I prayed that I would get out for Thanksgiving and Christmas so that I could spend that time with my family and friends and whatnot. So the Lord answered my prayer. I got out of jail the day before Thanksgiving of 2016. So
Wow.
I was able to spend Thanksgiving as well as Christmas and New Year's with my friends and family.
Wow.
I had not seen my daughter in 2.5 years.
Wow.
And actually, as of uh, December of 2017, I took her father to court to get visitation rights so that I could visit her, and started seeing her. Prayed and prayed and prayed, and we went to court the day before my daughter's 8th birthday. I got to see her and have visits with her the day of her birthday.
Oh, good. That's beautiful.
So the Lord answered prayers. He has been very, very. I have prayed diligently. Um, I have been on in-home incarceration since November 22nd, 2016. It's been very hard. I have not seen the public eye. I see my friends and family, and they're what keep me going from day to day.
Right. Wow.
But
That's an amazing. And so you went from a normal life, just living life, normal day to day, working, holding down a job, caring for your child, living with your significant other, with your child. You had a
we
regular,
were
normal family,
mhm.
and then boom, like a lightning bolt, just one day out of the blue, out of nowhere, this happens. Is
This
that correct?
bogus charges, and then bam, I end up in jail. And I've never lived that kind of lifestyle. None of my family members have ever lived that kind of lifestyle. The jail scene, nothing.
Wow,
So it
that's
was all new.
amazing. That's so scary. Just
It was
boom.
very scary. But
Wow.
thank the good Lord, I had my church family there for me at the time,
Mhm.
and church friends and family and whatnot.
Wow, that's incredible. And so you would say that that is what was your awakening. Your awakening was a rude awakening. I'm sure it felt like a bucket of
Yeah,
ice
I
water
I
thrown
felt
at
like
you.
I was in a turmoil. I thought, my life is coming to an end. I still don't know what the outcome of my situation is going to be.
You're still
I just
waiting.
pray every day and leave it in the Lord's hands.
Would you say this has helped increase your faith? Do you feel closer to God during this
Yes,
time?
I do. I do.
And so pretty much the only thing that keeps your sanity is your faith. Would you say that's
Right.
correct?
Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, how did you get into metaphysical topics? How did you get from religion to metaphysical topics?
Um, I would say that I did a lot of research on the computer, and
Is that what piqued your curiosity when you saw the angels and the orbs? Did you
yes,
were
yes.
you wondering what is that?
hmm I didn't know what exactly was going on. I didn't know. I have several family members that are awakening, and that were telling me, you know, hey, this is what you're going through. This is a spiritual awakening, and I'm like, well, I am spiritual,
Mhm.
and I thought it meant religiously. So I wasn't sure what it actually was to be awakened or to start awakening. So I researched and did whatnot and learned from there.
And did you start at that time seeing like angel numbers, how everybody sees like 1111,
Oh yeah,
555?
it was well in jail. We would I would always ask the guard, "Hey, what time is it?" And it didn't matter if it was morning or night. My angel number was actually my daughter's birthday, which is December 22nd. So the angel numbers were always 1222.
Wow.
So it's really weird, and still to this day, the numbers 1222 always appear everywhere, everywhere.
Wow. And did you look up what that meant or did it pique your curiosity?
Yes, yes. A friend of mine, she does angel numbers religiously, writes them down, has several books and whatnot that she has wrote them in, journaled, and she goes back and refers to several of those. And you know, I just at the time, you know, I just look them up, you know, here and there whenever I see various numbers. But here lately, I've been seeing a lot of angel feathers. I've seen anywhere from white to black to gray. They just fall right at my feet, literally.
Wow. What other paranormal experiences have you had during this time?
Um, During the actual eclipse, which I think happened last year, um, as I was taking pictures, I was seeing these various angels in pictures, which I didn't know what really were they were. So I had sent them to a friend of mine, and one of her friends is a medium. So she had looked at the pictures and she said, "Wow, those are angels." You could see the actual wingspan and everything on the angels. You could see the halo.
Wow.
um, Very, very beautiful. There were pictures of an older woman with curly hair in several of the pictures, which we think that were my great grandmother. We're not for certain, but it was really neat. The solar eclipse really was when I had started seeing things, and then I had started seeing these orbs in my room. I would just I would just take random pictures, and the orbs would show up on video and in pictures and whatnot, even without the flash. You know, people are like, "Oh, you're crazy! It's just a dust. It's dust, dust, dust."
And what do
And
they
I'm
look
like,
like?
"No."
What do the orbs look like? Like around what size would you say they are?
Um, I would say the size of like anywhere from a dime to like quarter size.
Mm.
Um, they're round. The ones that I see are they they're clear. A lot of people ask me, you know, what colors. The only thing that I can describe them as is like a clear light, white.
Mhm.
Um,
So not like a
that's,
bubble, but like a light.
no,
Like if it was like a Christmas light floating, right? Like that?
that's almost what it reminds you of.
Okay. Yeah, I see those too. I see a blue
hmm
one and a white one. And one morning I woke up and my whole ceiling was filled with gold ones, like hundreds
Oh wow.
everywhere. And
Uh-huh.
that was the only time I had seen that many
Mhm.
altogether. But yeah,
Oh
I've been
wow.
told those are angels also.
Uh huh.
Wow. Are
That's,
those, have you had any scary metaphysical experiences or paranormal experiences?
I hear little like voices every now and then. It's mainly smells. Like I get a lot of tobacco smells, which my great grandmother, and my great grandfather,
Hmm.
on my mom's side, both grandparents were always in tobacco. So I was raised in a family where we raised tobacco. So I'm not sure if the smells are coming or if it's, my great grandfather visiting or, him being around. I smell a floral smell, almost like a rose. It smells like roses,
Hmm.
which my great grandmother loved roses. She had rose bushes everywhere.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know if that's her visiting. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Oh, but those are positive experiences. You haven't had anything negative that kind of frightened you?
No.
Oh, that's great. That's good. So you have a lot of positive energy around you. How did you get into QHHT or BQH? How did you find me?
A family member had, I believe, done a session and or had found you and done a session. I don't know how the session went or what the details were. But that's how I had found you, and I had done a session, and then
What
took.
led you, what piqued your curiosity to want to do a session? Because that's quite a jump, growing up very spiritual, because a
Right.
lot of people, being in the church are very for lack of a better word, I don't want to say narrow-minded, but kind of
I
like
was
we're
kind of
we're
skeptical.
programmed, we're
Right.
programmed to think, oh, that's bad, or you know
I
how.
was skeptical at first about doing it because I was like, oh, this might be against my religion.
Mhm.
Um, this might be bad. I didn't know, if it was, like hoodoo. I didn't
Mhm.
exactly know what it was until I had done some research and had actually seen videos of people doing the BHQ and the QHHT
Mhm.
sessions. So until I actually did it and took it upon myself to go through a session, it
Mhm.
was wonderful. I
And
mean, I had 3 successful sessions with you that turned out great.
yeah, they were pretty amazing. And
Mhm.
what piqued your curiosity about it? Were you trying to find out like what's going on with you? Is that why you wanted to
Um,
do it?
I had wanted to know because I've been, like I said, accused of this horrific crime. I had wanted to know like how my trial would come out, and some various things within my case and whatnot that I was, my curiosity was just getting the best of me, and I was wanting to know, exactly, how is this going to pan out? Should I think negative? Should I think positive? But with the sessions, they all came out great, and they gave me confidence that
Mhm.
knowing how the session went, to take that and to use it every day and to think positive, and hopefully my case will come out on top, and I will be
Yeah.
found innocent of all these charges.
Yeah. Little did I know it was my grandmother who wanted me to do the session because she wanted to talk to me through you. So that was
Right.
fascinating. That's amazing. And this whole time I'm thinking, oh, her, she must really, need the help, or I was just assuming it was your people, but it was my people. And that's so funny how that works, and proof
Right.
how we're all connected, and um
Mhm.
I feel like it was predestined for us to meet, because
Right. Right.
you have become such an important part of my life since then, and your
Right.
story is so similar to mine, because
Mhm.
I was fired for reporting a death threat against a cop, and I mean, I had worked in law enforcement for 20 years, and that was just like, what? One day, one regular day, it felt like a regular Wednesday, and then bam, all hell breaks loose, and you're like, what? And I mean, that
Right.
just like you, I felt
Mhm.
completely alone. Everybody abandoned me. I lost friends that I had for 20 years. Boom, gone. Relation. I mean, best friends. Even my personal relationship, it completely changed. Everybody just disappeared.
Disappeared.
Did you experience that?
Yes, I had in my phone. I was just telling one of my best friends the other day. I used to have over 600 contacts in my phone.
Wow.
I'm now down to literally 100. Um,
That's still a lot. 100's a lot.
even though when I was in jail, I had people within my church that were coming to see me. People were calling, coming to visit once I got out of jail. Um, my preacher and whatnot, and then a good friend that I taught alongside Vacation Bible School with, and several classes within the church. She absolutely turned on me. Um, my church family has just dwindled. They were there supporting me through up until I got out of jail, up until a few months ago, and bam, I don't hear from anyone.
They dropped you. So pretty
So,
much you are experiencing the same thing as what happened to me. Are you not? Like you,
right.
everybody's just gone. Even
Hmm.
what? How did it affect your personal relationship with your spouse?
With my daughter's dad, he and I got together in 2008. I got pregnant with my daughter and had my daughter in December of 2009. He and I, when she turned, I believe, 3 years old, we were engaged. And up until I went to jail, things were great. We lived in a nice home. um, our daughter didn't want for anything. Her dad worked 2 good jobs. I worked a great job, making excellent money. Um, and then I went to jail, and he said from the get go that I will support you. I will support you. I got out of jail and found that he had been on not one, not two, but 3 or 4 different dates with various girls. He lied to me. I knew his Facebook password and whatnot, and had actually caught him talking to other women. Um, he has led me on since day one that I have been out. He still comes over and visits with me, and kind of plays mind games. Kind of has me, thinking, oh, we're gonna end up together one minute, and then the next, you never know how it is with him. But he is a narcissist. So trying to live with a narcissist for the last 10 years has been unbelievable.
Oh, that's a nightmare of its own, isn't it? I
Yeah,
completely relate to you 100%. I'm going through the same thing. And that's why I find your story so fascinating because when you shared your story with me, and I mean, that's a hard thing to do to share your story because, first of all, you think, are they right? Like, is there a part of this, of what's going on? Is it my fault? Like, should I not have saved that cop's life? Like, what you try and
right.
go back and think like, how could I have avoided this? What did I do? Like how I remember thinking, God, why are you punishing me for being good? I did
Right.
what I'm expected to do. And then
Mhm.
like, boom. And then like everybody around you, you're like, it feels like you're on another planet, doesn't it? Like they just
Oh,
completely
yeah.
do 180. And
Mhm. And it feels like, your world has been turned upside down. There's so many days that I want to cry. I want to crawl in a hole and then just throw in the hat. There's been so many days that I felt like that. But with the help of good friends and family members, I haven't gave up. I haven't. e- Everybody asks me, are you on medication for depression, for PTSD? This has been a traumatic experience for
oh my
me,
God, yeah.
just the whole jail and everything.
Hmm.
And I'm the first to say that I'm not on anything.
And did they try to put you on medication? Because you bring up a very good point. Well, I remember when I went through getting fired, I we had gone to marriage counseling because I assumed, oh, we're having problems because of the job thing. Well, no, he's just an asshole. I mean, let's keep it
Right.
real. It was him. It wasn't, they blame everything. Oh, it's because of this. And no, it's because you're a shitty person. It's not because, like, let's keep it real. Now I can see that, but back then you're trying to do everything to fix, 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 and it's me,
Mhm.
and oh, I'm going crazy, and oh, it's you. Well, no, it's I'm normal. And I remember
Right.
they wanted to put me on so many medications, Zoloft, Prozac, all kinds of crap.
Oh
And
yeah, they had wanted to do the same with me. They had wanted to put me on Klonopins, Xanaxes, various things for post traumatic stress disorder. Um,
yeah, but who's
and
going to be happy? I mean, it's a
and I
normal
said,
reaction.
I don't want to be numb. I don't want to feel numb. I already feel numb as it is.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
go through many emotions on a daily basis, dealing with my child's father,
Oh, yeah.
and his abuse.
Right.
I deal with verbal abuse, mental abuse,
Right.
emotional abuse from him. So
Right.
that's enough in itself.
Oh, absolutely. We picked a hard lesson, man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely do feel for those of you that are watching that can relate to any of this, the tables have turned. We are rounding this corner. Cycles are ending with this eclipse coming in a few days. We're going to see uh, flipping. Everything's going to turn. Everything's going to turn around. So just hold tight. What advice would you give to anybody experiencing any of the stuff that we've gone through or what you've gone through? What advice would you give them?
Um, I would say cling to your faith. Most certainly. Pray, 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 because prayer is a powerful thing.
And it
Um,
works. You proved it.
oh yes, yes. Um, and just leave it in God's hands.
And
So I mean that's the only everyone else asked me, they're like, isn't this waiting game? You've been on house arrest for almost 2.5 years. It isn't enough, and I'm like, yes. And I keep getting like 2 months ago, the judge was going to allow me curfew, and I was like, oh yes, 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 yes. I was thinking, oh, I can get out of the house, I can go visit friends and family and whatnot. And then I started getting really like anxious. And then I was like, I can't get myself worked up over this and whatnot, because I might get let down. And sure enough, I did get let down. But I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep praying, and hopefully the judge will give me curfew, because I follow all the rules. Even with my ankle monitor on, I abide by it. I'm not drug tested because I don't do drugs. I don't drink, so there's really no reason to be tested.
right, right.
Mhm.
Wow, that's incredible. And so it looks like what we've been through is really a test of faith, like both of
Yes.
us, because I mean, I have felt like I'm in a box too, like no, you can't move, you have to stay here, and it feels like a cocoon, kind of like a
And
giant waiting room.
I'm sure you feel at times like, what lesson am I to learn from this? I keep questioning myself. What am I? What is it that God wants me to learn from this? Is it how to love? Is it how to bring light to a situation? I think to myself, why did this happen to me? I was a Christian girl. I was teaching God's word, living godly, and had my child brought up in that lifestyle. And now, that's been ripped from both she and I and her father, and we just live a totally different life. I mean, I still praise the Lord. I still pray. I still, am deep in my faith. Um, but with that said, it's very difficult not having your church family, not having your pastor around.
Hmm.
and the children that you once taught and whatnot.
And it
So
certainly shows you who is really in your corner, who really rides for you, doesn't it? That's been very eye opening for me as well. When the shit goes down, who are your real friends? Who's around?
right, and I there for a while. I had people within my church, and I'm not down in my church. I'm not down in my friends from church, but I had various people that were coming on a pretty regular basis from my church. To visit me both in jail and out of jail, that were calling me, text messaging, asking how I was doing. And I come from a small town, so it's one of those he said she said kind of
Mhm.
towns. Everybody knows everything that
Oh
everyone
yeah.
does.
Hmm.
So with that being said, I have been labeled all over social media. My name has been slandered. My name has been slandered all over the news. In jail, when I went into general population, at first the girls, were wanting to kick my ass and, oh, we're gonna beat you up, and I had girls stealing my commissary and whatnot, and then one of the girls that is actually from the same town that I'm from, she actually spoke up, and she and I became really good friends, and she took up for me. She said, this girl has been charged with these bogus charges, but I'm not going to let anybody run her name down. I will not let you girls mistreat her, so on and so forth. But
Wow.
back to, the people within my church, I had people writing me every week from my church. I had cards coming in, letters coming in from my church, and now I have not seen anything, nothing. So that goes to show you, you do the right work for the Lord, and the ones that you thought were your true friends, they'll turn their back on you in a heartbeat. You can't
Yeah,
you can't really trust anyone but yourself and the Lord above.
right. And I feel and see how God always provides in mysterious ways because, like, we were brought together,
Right.
and you have been a great source of
Mhm.
comfort for me during these trying times, and how miraculous how we found each other. I mean, it goes to show
Right.
God does prepare for you. He does have your needs, everything that you do need. It's not what you want, but it's what you need,
What you need. Right.
right?
Mhm.
Because I think
Most
that
certainly.
um, we're learning a really big. It's like initiation. It feels like a really big test. Like, okay, you say you love
Oh
me,
yeah.
prove it. Prove it. I'm going to take you through all this. It's
Mhm.
kind of like a relationship, like a marriage. I'm going to take you through all
Right.
this. And are you going to be standing, next to me when when it's
Mhm.
said and done? How are you going to act when, your back is against the wall? And you've proven your loyalty. You've
Right.
proven your faith. I mean, that's not to say that we're perfect or that we don't have times where
Right.
we're on the bathroom floor crying, God, why? Because I'm sure you have those moments too, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not all, oh, I'm
Oh yeah.
perfect,
Yeah.
you know? Hmm. What
Right. And there's days that I just want to scream. There's days that I just want to lay in bed and not get up. Um, there's days that I just don't have any energy at all. There's days that I think, back to that one particular day that changed my life. It's changed my life for the last going on 3 years. Um, because, like I said, I lived a wonderful life. I never wanted for nothing. I grew up, in a great family, went on vacations all the time. I grew up in the church. So my life was grand, and then boom, that one day changed everything, everything,
right.
everything.
Wow, that sounds like a movie.
And
Yeah.
I only get to see my daughter 2 days a week, at 3 4 hours at a time, and and then I prayed to God. I said, Lord, please let me have more time with my daughter because everything is at her father's discretion. So now he's finally letting her stay the night and visit more and whatnot. So that's really helped because I basically raised my daughter for the first 6.5 years of her life, and not being in her life for 2 years just was the hardest thing ever for both she
Oh,
and I.
wow. Yeah, I can imagine. What advice would you give for women out there, or even men? I'm sure there's men also that are going through a similar relationship, like the issues that we've experienced.
Right. Um, just go. My number one thing is if you feel it in your head and your heart, and it's a gut feeling, most generally it's probably true. Which you and I have had, several conversations, that we have had this gut feeling, and
And it's
nine
always
times
right.
out of ten,
It's
it's
God
very
telling you.
true.
God's telling you.
So yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, follow your gut.
So
You're not crazy. If you think something is
right,
happening, it is. And don't lie to yourself. I think
right.
that
Um,
looking back, don't you see like
and
all the
you know,
time you wasted?
hmm and there for a while, my child's father, he come from a good family and whatnot, but we were engaged, like I said, up until the time I was put in jail, and he told me from the get go, I'm gonna be there for you and whatnot, and every day that I see him, it's I miss living with you, I miss that kind of lifestyle, but then it's like, okay, do I really believe this? Do I really believe this? Is this really true? Or is this or is this just all, sugar coated lies? And it's been lies. So
Hmm. Yeah, because they say one thing and do another, right?
mhm.
Like nothing matches. Everything's, and then it's like pulling
Right.
teeth, isn't it? It's like you just feel
Hmm.
so lonely because it's not, if it were true, you would feel it. You wouldn't need to be seeking and looking, and
Oh yeah.
it would just be there, like you are.
Hmm.
You're just there. You're willing, but it feels
Right.
like such a struggle with
Mhm.
them, doesn't it?
Oh
Wow.
yes. Every day. Every day. Just trying to get along for your child's sake. And majority, there were so many years that I wanted out of the relationship, but I'm like, I have a kid with him, and I don't want my kid to be in a split, broken up home, because I was raised, in a home where both parents, were living there. So I didn't want my child growing up in a split home. So I when push come to shove, I stayed until she got older
Right.
and until this situation. So
Right. Well, I think that this situation has caused you to see people's true colors, including his.
oh yeah. Mhm.
Right. Wow. Well, I'm so grateful to have you as a friend, and I'm proud of you for what you've endured. And I know it can only get better for you and all of us. And
Right.
I'm happy and grateful that you agreed to share your story with everyone, because I
Oh, most
know
definitely.
that people are gonna some are gonna relate to it, because I'm sure it's not just you, it's not just me, there's a
Right.
lot of us. So do you have any
There's
parting
a lot
words?
of people.
Do you have
Yes.
any parting words for anybody that you would like to share?
Um, just cling to your faith. Just try and stay positive as much as possible. Don't let don't sweat the small stuff. Um, and have faith. Leave it in God's hands.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Thank you.
yep.
Thank you so much, Amy. We
Thank
appreciate you.
you. I cherish our
And
friendship.
so do I. And please, I would like to ask everyone watching to please say some prayers for her. And
Yeah.
Amy is not a real name, but we're protecting her identity because of the legal things going on. But if you could say a prayer for her, and we could all use positive energy to send her way to ensure that everything turns out in her favor, not just for her, but for her daughter as well. Thank you, everybody.
For,
Thank you.
thank you.